Hey everybody, this is Ramsey and welcome into the Rajathon YouTube channel. I really wanted to go in depth on 112263, the book that I did a review on not too long ago. Enjoyed it a whole lot. Had a few things that I didn't like, but definitely wanted to go into some spoilers here. 5 major points in the book that I really appreciated and enjoyed. I think you guys will like it. Let's hop on in. Obviously, there's going to be spoilers all the way through for the first part of the book, the ending of the book, and I'll even give you an updated ending that I think would have been better. So let's hop on in. We'll do the intro, and I'll see you in just a sec.
I'm leaving it all up to you. You decide what you gonna do.
So if you haven't read this book, go ahead and hop out. There's going to be so many spoilers that it's going to ruin it for you. Go ahead and read the book, and then come on back. I'd love to have you. I'd love to see what you think about it. So I wanted to start with cons because I'd love to end on a good note because I really enjoyed the book. I would say it's probably 4.5 out of 5 stars if I had to rate it. I'm not really good at rating books that way. Kind of a softie, so I rate almost everything 5 stars anyway. Unless I really don't like it, then it gets like a 2. The only time I probably rate it a 1 star is if I just put it down right away. What I really want to do is I want to go through, give you the cons that I've got here, and then move on to all the positives because I think there's a lot of them. And I'll go through 5 points on my positives. Like I did in the summary video, which I'll link up above, the swearing would just seem so unnecessary. It was over the top. I guess that's the Stephen King thing. I'm not used to it. It's not one of the things that I'm psyched about. I do enjoy storytelling though, so I'll continue reading some of his books, and if it gets a little more than I can handle, I guess I'll put them down. But for the moment, even though the swearing's a little unnecessary for me, I still like his stories. Another thing that I didn't like, and I've noticed it in the other books that I've read by Stephen King, is his characters are so negative. There's such a negative worldview, and maybe that's where he perceives everything, how he perceives the world. But for me, I look at most people through rose-colored glasses. I see people as being inherently good, not inherently bad. So for me, it's hard for me to imagine a world where everybody's bad. Where a lot of times, like when he described Derry, when he described Dallas, he just described people as wrong. And it was hard for me to think of an entire place being that way. And I understand he was telling a story. He was kind of getting us into the moment, getting us into who Jake was, what Jake was going through. But for me, it was really hard to get past how negative he was of people. Just the way that they would allow awfulness to happen. Maybe that's real life. Maybe I'm a sucker. I don't know, but I just don't feel that people are that way. So I struggled with that. So I wanted to go over 5 points to make it more concise. I wanted to do number 1, the great time travel story. Number 2, a great love story. Number 3, the family that you choose for yourself. Number 4, the morality that he shows in the book, and maybe even the characters themselves. And then point 5, the great research that he did throughout the book, where for me personally, I mean, I imagine writing a book on my own, and doing that amount of research probably took him so long. And I'm glad that he did it because it made the story feel very, very real. I thought the way that Jake had to go back to a certain time and place, it was an amazing idea where not only did he go back to a certain time, he went back to a certain place exactly. And that really limited the ability you have as a time traveler to do a certain amount of things. It wasn't a get out of jail free card. It was a you can go back to a certain time and place at this moment, and if you want to change something, there are real consequences. You have to live in that time for a certain amount of time. If you wanted to change something a year before you got there, too bad, you can't. There's no way to do it. You're in a specific time period. I thought that was great. The way that it was done, it really put home the idea of you get one shot at this. You're not going to get to continue to go back and go back and go back and make mistakes. You had to get it right the first time. It did bring the story down a hair where it was like, I need to see every moment of Oswald's life. I need to find who George de Mohrenschildt is. I need to do research and go to different places. But it made sense. It was not like he was doing something that didn't make sense at all. It was a situation where he made sense in what he was doing, and I like that a lot. The thing also about the time travel is where he was an intruder in the story, where time didn't want to change. It wanted to fight him. It wanted to make him follow the path that had already been there. They understood that he was a trespasser, but really orchestrated that with the yellow card man, where he was like, look, you don't belong here. You need to go back. The second point, and I'm going to say this, I feel it's more of a love story than a time travel story. Even though the main plot was saving Kennedy, the love story in this really took it. Maybe even the people of Jody. I feel like Sadie and the people of Jody were more important than anything else. And I think that's an interesting way where you're drawn in by the idea of the assassination of Kennedy. By the end of the book, I would have rather let Kennedy die if I was Jake and stayed with Sadie and Jody. That was how much I fell in love with the town and Sadie as a character. I loved how he decided, instead of following Oswald to see if he took the shot at the general, he went and he saved Sadie. And I know it was a time where the timeline was trying to fix itself, and but you look back, and when he didn't go back, that happened anyway. Clayton still came and cut her face. So it was amazing to know that the timeline wanted to stay the same, but in that it used the same instance of Clayton being there to not only keep him from knowing Oswald was the guy that took the shot, it also kept Sadie with a cut on her face. So time, even though it was fighting Jake, it won in that moment. One of the things I really connected with Sadie and Jake is the swing dancing. Right out of high school, I spent a ton of time swing dancing. So for me, it was a really cool throwback for me where they talked about how much fun it is to swing dance. We spent so much time practicing. We would get off of work and go and meet up and swing dance. And I wasn't dating the two girls that I swing dance with all the time. We were just having fun dancing. It was one of the most wholesome, fun moments of my late teens. I guess I wasn't 20 yet because I moved back to Georgia when I was 20. But it was an amazing time for me where I just enjoyed swing dancing. And so that part of the story caught me big time. So as I look back on Jake and Sadie's relationship and the lies that he told her, I remember kind of looking at the book and going, why don't you just tell her the truth? She'll accept it. She'll understand it. Even if she thinks you're insane, you're not lying to her anymore. It really dug into me when Sadie died because he had to go back. You felt it right away. He's like, doesn't matter if I save Kennedy or not. I gotta go get Sadie. And when he didn't, at the end of the book, when he let her be, I couldn't have done that. I don't care what it would have messed up. I'd have gone to Jody, I'd have found Sadie, and I'd have stayed there. That's just me. Maybe I'm a romantic. I don't know. So the third point with his found family. Miss Mimi loved her to death. Deke, great guy. Loved him so much. He was such a huge part of the story, and he really made it like the father figure Jake needed. Al, I didn't love Al, but Al was good too. And then Miss Ellie was like the sister that was mean to you because you were not treating your girlfriend right. And so it was just so great to see him find this family and find these people. The whole town of Jody. I mean, I kind of want to go there in real life and go see if Jody's as great as Stephen King describes it in this book. I mean, it seemed like a kind of place where you just really want to go. Jake's relationship with Mike Kozlov was something special too. You know, a mentor relationship from a man to a young man. It's an amazing thing. I really enjoy. I teach 9-year-old boys in Sunday school. It's so awesome to step back and say, I'm not making this man who he is. He's making himself who he is. But in this, I'm proud of the fact that I got to help just a little bit down the road. Nothing that a man can do is better than mentoring another young man. It's so powerful, so amazing. And it's great to see that he did that with Mike Kozlov. Even though his coach was such a big influence on his life, he was able to get that young man into what he was good at and really let him shine. I thought it was so important. I'd read of Mice and Men, I've seen the movie, but listening to it, I listened to it on audiobook. Listening to it in the car, I pulled over and I cried because I could see it. I could see the moment. I could feel the power of that emotion, of that whole crowd seeing Mike Kozlov become that person, that great actor that he became because Jake spent time delving into his life. He didn't make him a great actor. He was already a great actor, but he encouraged him through that and made him more than he was before. That's great. That's what a mentor revels in. We don't have to be the center of attention. It's just great to see someone you care about do well. And I think that was amazing in this book. It really showed through, and I loved it. So I'm not sure exactly where Stephen King is on his morality, but every time Jake did something immoral, he was punished for it. When he lied, when he bet, which I'm not really against betting. I mean, I'd go to Vegas, you know. When he had the extramarital relationship with Sadie, I mean, that was a huge thing where Clayton was like, you know, this is my wife, I'm gonna cut your face off. As a Christian, you look at it and you go, sin is black and white. Sin is bad. A little lie and murder, they equate to the same thing. God doesn't see them any differently. But human nature puts sin in different categories. We have lies, we have other things, and then at the top you have murder, and probably child rape is the worst, I would think. We have a category for it. God, on the other hand, says all of it's bad. All of it keeps you out of heaven, right? When I look at Harry Dunning and what he did to his children, I believe that man deserved to die. I know he's a character. I know he's written by Stephen King. But man, I just, as a man, as a father, the man deserved to die. And so for a lot of times, that's that gray area. That's that gray area that we look at and we go, in a moral standpoint, where do I stand on this? When is it okay to kill? When is it okay to commit this? And it's a challenging thing. And I think King really dug into it really well. I think there are moments where you go, is it better when you know a man's going to do something awful to kill him first, to prevent it? Let's minority report it, right? Where is that cutoff? When is it acceptable? When do we find the moment where it's acceptable to do something awful to prevent something worse? I think that was a great moral question. It challenged me personally. You know, I've always wondered as a Christian, how do we deal with war? You know, I watched a movie years ago. It was black and white. It was about a real soldier, and he wanted to be a conscientious objector. And one of his sergeants said, you know, hey, even soldiers of God had to go to war. There were moments when we have to. So there will probably always be moments when we have to go to war. We have to find that moment. We have to find that moral high ground, right? So it's a great question. I'm not saying how to think, right or wrong. I know how I feel about it. I did my own soul searching on it, but for you guys, I'd love to hear what you think about it. So after the audiobook finished, King actually comes on and talks. He goes into all the research he did, all the time he spent in Dallas. It's actually really cool. If you read the book, it'd be great to do the audiobook, or even just look up all the research he did. He spent a lot of time at the Texas School Book Depository. He went through the museum. He credits a lot of the great people in that museum that gave him such a great wealth of information. He spent weeks in Dallas researching locations and sites. He referenced a couple really good books. If you're a John F. Kennedy conspiracy theorist, he looked through a bunch of those. So he definitely got me, and I think a lot of other people, to a point where I'm convinced that Oswald's the only shooter. I think it was a neat situation to go through and say, that's the situation. He feels that way, and I feel that way now too. So in wrapping up, I wanted to touch on a couple more points. I know I said I'd do 5. These are just side points. These are PSs, right? I thought it was really cool that when he was in Derry, we meet the kids from It. It was a really cool callback. I really enjoyed it. So my alternate ending that I wanted to tell you guys was, I think it should have gone all the way up till Sadie gets shot. Jake stops Oswald, and he gets back. But everything's fine. So he wants to come back to save Sadie's life, but he can't. The rabbit hole is closed. He's so distraught that he knows Sadie's dead. It's his fault. He commits suicide. I think that would have been a better ending, and I think it would have still been very Stephen King. So personally, if I wrote it, I wouldn't have had him commit suicide, but I know Stephen King couldn't leave it just, the way it was. So I think if he did use my ending, he would have Jake commit suicide. But I think that would be a better ending, personally. Please like and subscribe. It really helps me out. The recommendations come more if people are engaging with the videos. So a quick comment, even a thumbs up, even a hey man, you're awful, I don't like your videos, all of that actually helps me. So if you can, please take just a quick second, like and subscribe, maybe leave a comment. It actually helps a whole lot. I would really appreciate it. So I went ahead and did the first Discord giveaway. All you have to do is click the link, go into the Discord, and there's a Steam key for Gorilla Faction Mars Remastered. So just go in there. If you get it, please do leave me a comment saying that it's been taken. That way, everybody else is not trying to get it. But I just wanted to do that. It's a game that I had that I'm not going to play, and I thought it'd be awesome to get people to get into the Discord and try to get in there. That's not going to be the only one. We're going to try to do one every couple videos or so. So hop in there, get that if you'd like it. I've heard it's a really great game. I am so grateful that you guys are here for this video. I'm really enjoying YouTube so far. I get all excited looking at analytics and seeing who's come through and responding to comments. So if you can, like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye.